So in our motivational webinar, I gave a example of a team. Had a couple of questions come in that were specific to that example. First one was, what were the roles of the people on the team? Second one was, how do you gain buy-in for the team to share their results with others? Great questions. First one, the roles of this, it was an executive team, right? So we had you had a president, you had a CFO, you had a CIO, you had a marketing individual, and the final one was it was more of a sort of an admin role, but it would take care of sort of keeping herding the cats in some way, I think is the best way of putting it, right? And so those were the roles in the team. I would call it a very normal executive team in terms of the roles that they were taking on, and they were doing. The second question here, how do you gain buy-in? So great question. First things first is you need to have agreement from everyone that results will be shared, right? And with the IDI, that can be sometimes a little bit challenging because it is it's a complex assessment, and it goes a little bit deeper than some other assessments out there, right? We're not just talking about behavior. We're talking about sort of who you are at your core in some way. What I can tell you is the easiest way to go about this, I think, is for individual feedback sessions to happen before the team session, right? So you can get somebody comfortable with their own data, with the assessment itself, and understanding that it's, again, we're not evaluating you, we're not judging you. It's just very helpful information to know. Trying to remove any judgment or value that the person might be placing on particular dimensions, right? As an example, people often place a value on the dimension of excelling, and so they get sort of agitated if their score is on the low side. And you have to walk through have the conversation of, this isn't about good or bad. A high score does not mean a high score does not mean you're successful. A low score does not mean you're not successful, right? So helping them work through the challenges that any assessment, I think, can provoke in some way, can be helpful here. The other thing is you can develop a team session where people don't share, right? I mean, let's take the example that I used in the webinar. You don't have to have names, right? The group that I worked with in that scenario, they were fine with sharing. I think it's very valuable, but you don't have to share names. You can still run a session where people know their own scores, and then you are presenting sort of the team differences with anonymity, and talking about, you have your own scores in front of you. You see where you sit here, and let's talk about how that might come about. What I can tell you is I've done that a couple times before, right? The team wasn't, there was a couple people who were a little shy about this, but by the end of the session, everyone was sharing their scores, right? So you can set it up where we're not going to no one's going to be forced, right? But in my experience, people start to open up and they see the value of it in the team session. So great questions. Thank you.